Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My friend Abby requested that I do a complexion base makeup routine video. I don't typically always use the same foundation, concealer, face base, and powder. However, what I'm going to show you guys today are my favorites in all of those categories and what I like about each one. I definitely prefer brushes over sponges because sponges tend to soak up a little bit more product. Brushes don't, so you're not wasting as much product that way. What I really like to do with a sponge if I use one, which typically I don't, if I do, it's not to put on my makeup like I normally would put on all of my foundation with it. It's typically after everything I go over with a sponge just to press everything into the skin and pick up any excess product. But I definitely prefer brushes. I'm not using any sponges today. I'm usually all brushes all the time. I used to feel that I couldn't use brushes for my foundation and concealer because I had dry patches. I have combination skin leaning more on the dry side, and I felt that it would emphasize my dry patches, but I find that now with a good skincare routine, good skin prep before I do my makeup, and just taking care of my skin in general, I can use brushes and they are awesome. If you guys are interested in seeing my skincare routine, that's something I've also thought of filming and posting for you guys. Let me know. I'm not an esthetician or a skincare expert by any means. It's just something that I am very passionate about, and I do like to take care of my skin. Skincare should come first. So I already have the base of my choice on my face for today because I like to let it sit on the skin while I do my eyes and everything. But my two favorite bases are the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base and the JUNO&CO Moonshine Miracle Cream. These are both moisturizing primers, however I do not use them in place of a moisturizer. I always do my skincare, my skin prep before I do my makeup, and I use my regular moisturizer, let that sink into the skin, and then I'll get to my makeup and I will put on my face base. Today I opted for my Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base because my skin is feeling a little bit dry, and this one is a tiny bit more juicy and moisturizing, and I like the JUNO&CO when my skin is feeling a little bit more normal. This is what I reach for. These are both great. I do like to have them both in my collection. These are my two favorite primers. I used to have a lot of primers. I don't own anymore because these are awesome and these are always what I reach for. So I use one of those primers and then I go into one of these foundations. I'm showing you all of my primer, foundation, concealer, and powder options because I like things that are all kind of similar in finish but may have different coverages. On days where I want just like awesome looking skin that just looks like my skin and not like full-on makeup-y, I love this McGrath Skin Fetish foundation. This stuff is awesome. It is super pricey. I understand a lot of people are hesitant to buy this. I went back and forth about buying this for the longest time, but this is my favorite foundation of all time. It is more of a medium coverage, definitely not sheer and definitely not full, but it just makes your skin look awesome. I also love, for a cheaper option and a little bit more fuller coverage but still like a natural finish, I like this NYX Born to Glow foundation. This stuff is great too. I like using it with either of the primers. I like using all of these foundations, like I said, with either of the primers. And then the last foundation is the Nars Sheer Glow foundation. This stuff is awesome. It's more of a medium coverage and you can build it up a bit, not to quite like full coverage, but I don't like full coverage, so this stuff is great. I think it just looks like your skin. I am really into that radiant skin-like finish that gives you a bit of coverage. It's not like watery, but it's not full coverage because I don't like to look cakey. And then my favorite concealers are actually both drugstore, and then I'm going to mention a higher end one that I'm trying right now, but I'm still getting kind of a feel for it. I love the Colourpop Pretty Fresh concealer. This stuff is awesome. It's hydrating under the eyes. I like this for more of a medium coverage. And then I have the E.L.F. Hydrating Camo Concealer. I like this on more fuller coverage days. I'm trying out the McGrath concealer right now, but I'm not quite sure how I feel about it yet. I will update you guys in a video later down the road because I have been using it and I like it, but I don't know if I would quite put it in with the rest of these products that are tried and true to me lately. Lastly, I'm going to show you powders and setting spray. I'm not going to go into in-depth in bronzers and blushes because those switch up for day to day on me. I love the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish powder. I like this under the eyes. I only set under the eyes and with a little bit of excess on the brush, occasionally on the nose and right there if I'm feeling a little greasier that day. And then I have the Pat McGrath Labs Light Medium to Skin Finish powder. I love this stuff. This stuff is awesome. I was using the Fenty powder for a while, but it's nice. I just feel like it's a little more drier under the eyes than I would prefer. And then my all-time favorite setting spray. It doesn't really help with longevity, but I don't ever have issues with long wear of my foundation. So I love using the Anastasia Dewy set. I think this stuff is great. It makes everything just look like fresh, plump skin. You just look so radiant and it doesn't look overly makeup-y when you use that. So I already used my Bobbi Brown face base. It's been sitting on my skin for a bit, so after it sits on my skin for a little bit, I like to go in with a foundation brush. I used to be all about sponges, but lately I don't really reach for them all too often. I just prefer brushes lately. My favorite foundation brushes are like this Real Techniques light layer brush, something a little bit more dense in the base, but not too dense up top. Has a little bit of fluff to it. On days where I'm in a rush, I like to use this E.L.F. foundation brush. This is the Airbrush blender. It's a little bit bigger than the previous brush, and it just helps blend things seamlessly when I'm in a hurry and I need to go somewhere. And then I have my little MODA Cosmetics complexion brush that came with the set. This is a little bit more dense. I don't like full coverage, but if I want to really play up the coverage of whatever foundation I'm using, I will use something a little more dense like this. Today I'm going to go in with the NYX Born to Glow foundation. I'm just squeezing some of it onto the back of my hand. I'm going to use this bigger brush, the E.L.F. brush, and I'm going to buff this into the skin. I always go on like my cheeks and the lower half of my face first. It's like a perfect match in person, but it's coming off really yellow on camera. So not really happy about that, but once I do the rest of the base, everything will kind of come together. I don't like to put too much product on my forehead and my nose because I feel like there's not really much to cover there ever. So I always do that last with whatever leftover product I have. And then taking the very last of it on the neck and onto my chest because I'm wearing a lower top like this. Yeah, with the lighting and everything, it's reading a little dark and yellow on camera, so that's a little annoying, but I swear in person, this is like the perfect shade match for me, and with concealer and everything, it will all come together. I haven't been getting a ton of sleep, so I'm going to use the E.L.F. Hydrating Camo Concealer because that has a bit more coverage. And then I go in with something like this E.L.F. concealer brush or something a tiny bit bigger, like this random brush I got in the gift set, but it's a little fluffier than a foundation brush, a little smaller, but still got the density that I need for the coverage I want. And I just kind of start patting this and stippling it. And then because I want the concealer and foundation to blend seamlessly into each other, I always take my foundation brush and pat over the concealer once it's blended out. And then I like to take something like this Real Techniques setting brush. These are my favorite for setting under the eye and for highlighting the cheekbones. And I like that Pat McGrath powder. Typically I'll take my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish powder on days where I'm doing a little bit more full coverage, and I just set directly under the eyes. I like to take it a little bit in here too. because I tend to get creasing in like the crevices of my nose here. From there, I like to do my bronzer, blush, highlight. Varies from day to day, so I'm not going to go into full detail on all of that. The last step that I like to do before I do my mascara or anything, so the last step in my base routine is doing my setting spray, so I'm using the Anastasia Dewy set. I like to mist it pretty generously over the face to get a nice even layer. I don't really do too much where it kind of like makes my face like sopping wet or anything. But this is the final look of the skin. I'm going to zoom you in so you can see everything. So as you can see, I don't have perfect skin or anything. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel. Also follow me on Instagram and TikTok. It's Victoria Briana with one N. Again, Victoria Briana with one N. I'll insert it here or here. Not really sure right now. It'll be on the screen somewhere. I'll see you guys all next time. Bye!